Okay, in this video we're just going to talk about how to replace the props on a DJI Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro. And I'll try and make this video as quick as possible, but there are some things you need to know before you start trying to do this. So, you know, the main reasons why you'll probably try and replace your props is if at any point you've been flying and you've clipped something, or you know they've just got snagged on something, and if there's any kind of scratch or damage or anything to these props, you need to make sure that you're replacing them. You know, comparatively to the drone, they cost hardly anything, so it's not worth risking the stability of the drone just because you can't be bothered to replace a chipped or a scratched kind of prop guard. Just do it. It's always worth it. I've had a couple that I didn't really think looked that damaged, and then actually, you know, they split apart. So it's always worth just making sure they're all in decent order before you take the drone out flying. So that's the first thing to bear in mind. The second thing, depending on you know, where you buy your props from, quite often if you get the official ones, they'll come in a packet like this. So you can see we've got kind of two. You split them apart. There's two in each set because each set of props, you know, come as a pair. So when you replace them, replace the pair, so you've got two new ones on each arm. And you can see that's how they come. So we've got a set A and a set B, and you can see on this it actually tells you where they go. So it's got a diagram of help if I held it in front of the camera. It's got a diagram of the drone. You can see the camera gimbal all at the top there. So that's how we've placed the drone. Just have a look at it. So you can see these ones are for the top right and for the bottom left, and for these ones top left, bottom right. You probably can't see that as well, but essentially that's what it's for. And you will see on these, if these ones are obviously still in a packet and I don't actually need to replace them, so I'm just going to show you how to take off and on the ones we've got on there. But these ones, set A, you'll actually be able to see, so it says on there it's the top right and bottom left. You'll be able to see, or hopefully you will be able to, if I hold that close up, can you see this notch on here? So a set A propeller always has that notch on it, and you can see on the bottom one there they've got that notch. But then if we look at the other ones, it's not there. Look at those ones, it's not there. So you can always remember, you know, if you've got like third-party props, I'd always recommend read the reviews, check them out, make sure they're decent quality, because some of the third-party props are absolute garbage. So just make sure they're half decent, because again, you know, you risk losing $1,000 drone for the sake of saving a couple of pounds or dollars on props. So just make sure you're getting decent ones. There are good third-party ones out there. I'll leave a link to official ones in the description. I'll leave a link to some third-party ones. Full disclosure on that, they are affiliate links, so you don't pay any more, but I make a tiny commission on each purchase, and that just helps to support the channel. So yeah, just that up front. So yeah, that's kind of your first bit. Make sure you've got props. You want to buy some. If you've got the Fly More combo, you'll have some already. You'll have some of these knocking about in the bag. Otherwise, yeah, just jump onto Amazon, DJI Direct. You can pick them up there. And actually, just to add to that, the image that we had on the packet here, with the you know, the corresponding arms, you can actually find that out as well from the drone. So if I hold it up, we've got on the one with the ridges, you might not be able to see. On this arm, there's a very, very faint ridge on there, so it kind of tells you that this is the one where the ones with the ridges go onto. And then when you look at these other arms, it's not going to get focused. There we go. It's not there. And then again on this one, it's very faint. It's like a really faint indentation, just to kind of tell you that that is the right arm. So you know, you don't need that diagram always with you to know which one goes on which arm. It's kind of there on the drone. Okay, so the next thing we need is a screwdriver to take off the prop. So again, if we have a look close up here, you can see we just need a tiny Phillips head screwdriver. So you actually get one in the with the drone. So if you take this one out the bag, it's just a little cheap screwdriver. Not much better than the type of thing you'd get out of a cracker at Christmas. And yeah, if you've already packed your box up and just thrown the whole lot away, or thrown it in the loft or into storage, most driver sets will have it. So screwdriver set like that, it's not very expensive, and it covers almost everything. Like I use that for tons of stuff, or just a pack of drivers like that. They'll generally, they're kind of like mini drivers. They'll have something in there suitable. So again, I'll leave a few links to driver sets that have ones in there that will work. But like I say, most you've got this one with it. I just throw that in my flight bag, and that tends to work. It's fine. It's not the best, but it does the job. So yeah, all we need to do is it's essentially just as simple as we're just unscrewing it. So you just have to hold the silver part, so the actual moving part of the rotor arm, hold that solid in your hand, and then turn the screwdriver counterclockwise, and then the screw will just start to come out, and you just keep going until it comes apart. Obviously make sure that the drone isn't switched on, because the screwdriver is actually magnetic as well, which is nice because these screws are tiny, so you don't want to lose them. And then that's literally it. Just you should be able to just softly kind of twist that off, and you just do the same to put it back on. Like I say, just make sure that there's two really important things with it. Make sure it's the right prop for the right side, because like I say, it's not going to be stable if you put the wrong props on the wrong arms. I've heard a few people say, oh, it's fine, you can put the odd one on that's wrong. Just don't do that. It's not a good idea. Like, the whole aircraft relies on the stability and like the structure of how this works. So just make sure you put in the right props on for a start, and then the next thing, make sure, I don't know if this is going to actually focus. Is that going to happen? Maybe not. Just a second. I might not be able to show you. Up on top of these, there's also a bit of writing, so it kind of just sticks up from the prop, and you'll get this on all props, whether they're third party or just the actual official ones. There'll just be a little bit of writing on there. So make sure then it's the right one, either with or without the notch. And then the next part, the writing, it's upwards, and then that's correct. And then put it on, and then I'm just going to put this in slightly so I don't actually lose the screw. And then you can see again, you just kind of work the screw back in. So same as any other screw, clockwise to tighten it up, anti-clockwise to tighten it, and then to loosen it. And then just get that screw back on, and you'll be able to just quickly check that it can kind of freely turn, and just check that it is actually tight and it's flush to the rotor arm. So it's not like a difficult thing to do. It's not it's not something to be worried about, but just make sure that they're going on the right arms, and make sure you're securing them on the right way up on the right sections. So it's a good idea whenever you're out flying, if you're planning to do a few takeoffs or you're planning to fly for a few hours in the day, just make sure to take some props with you. Take some A props, take some B props. Just make sure you've got some thrown in a bag. They're tiny, they don't take up any space, and you can just take this little tiny screwdriver, or have one spare with you. And it's just like, it's a bit of an essential thing really, because during any takeoff or any flight, it's so easy for these props just to get knocked against something. The wind can swerve it into something, and they do just split. They're strong, but at the same time they're spinning really fast. So if they hit the trunk of a tree, or sometimes you can even snag them in branches and things like that, and they will split. So just make sure you've got some with you, or it could be an early end to flying, because like I say, you don't want to fly with damaged props, because the craft is going to be unstable, and obviously you can ruin your craft, but it's dangerous as well for people, animals, anything that's around people's property. It's not a good idea to be flying with broken props. So yeah, just take that advice, that it's much cheaper to replace the props than it is to obviously replace your drone. So, and potentially whatever you hit as well. And then the next thing to do, what you want to do is just obviously do a quick check, make sure all your props are right. You've got, like I say, all the right ones are on the right arms, and then and they're all secure. And then just do like a kind of mini takeoff, just somewhere clear, free from people, free from any kind of debris, and just make sure that the craft comes up nicely from the ground. It comes up as it should. It sits level, it'll just hover, you know, it may be a little bit windy or something, but it's sat as level as it can be, and it is working. And then from there, you know, you can go off and you can kind of fly on from there. But just make sure you're doing all those simple checks, because like I say, it can be really costly for such a simple thing and such a cheap thing. It's really worth doing. So yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have, please give it a like. If you want to see more about the Mini 3 or drones in general, then please subscribe to the channel.